Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Bill Amirault. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you here today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Great to see you in person.
I know. It's so great. It's been a long time because of the whole COVID thing. We've not had live guests in our studio, and you're the first person in our Spring, Texas studio, so grateful to have you here. So welcome to Savvy.
Thanks very much, and thanks for having me.
You betcha. Now, you've been doing a slew of things throughout your entire working career, but for the last many years, you've been helping people get straight with their vocation and their career and build and grow their careers. How did this come about for you from where you started to where you are today? And you're about to launch into a whole other amazing arena, but let's just start with a little bit of your background.
Well, it started when I was in grad school, went to college engineering degree, worked for GE for a couple of years, went back to grad school, and my assistantship on campus, which truly helped in terms of paying for the 2 years of grad school, was in the business placement office at Indiana University. And I worked as a career counselor, and I was one of about 20 that helped the undergraduates find either their first internship or first full-time job.
Wow.
So I did one-on-one interview coaching, small group, making sure that everybody had the right materials and everything, and then large group, just helping people out in the large lecture halls.
Yeah.
It was called X410 was the name of the class, and it was a pass-fail, and they had to pass it in order to graduate.
Isn't that something? So, it's funny how in life you don't realize what you do throughout your life builds up to where you end up.
Well, this was a circle back, sort of, so to speak. So after grad school, I started with Procter & Gamble, marketing laundry detergent of all things, and then went into the pharmaceutical industry in New Jersey and spent 25 years doing one form or another of product management, marketing, advertising, public relations, primarily to market products and services, introduced probably 50 new line extensions or new products into the market, et cetera. And then I had a friend call me back in 2013 and said, "Hey, can you help me out at this job fair?" I said, "Well, what do you need?" He said, "There's so many people coming up to the table. I just need somebody to greet them and say hello." So there were 150, 200 people in line, as far as I could see. And this is when the market, as you know, wasn't that good after the financial crisis.
It was 2008 roundabout.
Well, it was the 2008 financial crisis, but this is 2013. It was still lingering into that time frame. So I looked at resumes. I saw them. He'd throw half of them away. And I realized he had no process. So I said, well, at least I can have the courtesy to follow up with these people. Then I started working with clients, and I was doing other consulting work at the time. And I said, wait a minute, I actually like marketing people a whole lot more than products or services. So I dropped everything else about 6 years ago and did this full time. And as any small business goes, there's ups and downs. And some months I'm driving Uber, some months I'm having great client work, some, whatever. And I would be the host at an in-person job fair giving a 15 or so minute overview. But what does it take to be successful at job search? And at the end of it, I'd say, best of success in all your endeavors, both tonight and in the future. God bless. And people would come up to me and have a conversation. If it turned into a client work, that's what happened. So that's probably 90% of the clients that I've worked with through the years came through that venue. Then, of course, March 13th, 2020 hits, and the world shuts down. We tried some online job fairs, which were marginally successful, but really the whole approach to finding people, or lead generation, as they say, just went away. But
or at least a traditional.
Oh, correct. Correct. So I've done some online stuff, probably not enough, but that's not the point. I know I've helped over 500 people define and manifest whatever their next career gig might be. And sometimes that's, hey, get me a job. I'm going to be losing my apartment in the next month. And I've worked with, I don't know, half a dozen single mothers who were in that situation. And other times it's, hey, I've been with this company 19 years. I've been promoted 12 times. But I'm getting tired of it. I don't want to be here anymore.
You kind of run your
right. So, and then we're not sure what he, in this case, is still a current client, wants to do. So I modified everything that I did into 3 phases. Actually, phase 0 is, what are your objectives? What are you really trying to accomplish? How does that align with your purpose about what you've been put here to do in total?
I like that. Well, one thing a lot of headhunters who do just straight up headhunting, they're just concerned with getting you in a seat and getting paid. But what I like about what you do is, like, what are you here to do? Because I find that everyone has a set of skills and talents and gifts that God has presented you with. How do you best use them in the world?
That's right.
And so that's what I like that you do, that you hit that other headhunter or agencies might not do.
Well, the headhunters work directly for the companies that hire them to find the people.
Yeah.
And they're trying to fit a square peg in a square hole. And if you don't happen to be that peg,
boom,
so be it. Next.
Exactly.
What I'm really looking to do is work directly with the candidates to get to the bottom of what they're doing. I've had people come to me and say, I've been doing this 28 years. I've raised a family. I'm tired of it. I don't know what I want to do next.
Yeah.
So phase 0 is defining your objectives and what that means. And I have a couple exercises today looking backwards that I made up.
Yeah,
today looking forward that I borrowed from an author with permission. But looking forward from your hospice bed back to today.
Ooh, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this because my uncle, it was interesting. I had taken flying lessons a number of years back, and I went to visit him. He was on his last leg and died like a month later. And I told him, I just came back from flying lessons. He's like, tell me all about it. It's been my dream to take flying lessons. Never did it. And he's on his deathbed. And now he looks back and he's like, that's something I wish I had done. Kudos for you for doing it. But, you don't want to be that person on the deathbed. What are the things I wanted to do, didn't do, could have done? Because actually he never had kids or a wife. So he had the funds. He had the time. He just never took advantage of it.
As you're saying this, people start looking, they say, well, I'm going to look forward to that day. And I say, no. Look backwards from that day. And then say to yourself, what am I going to pat myself on the back for? What do I want to do, become, accomplish, or experience that I haven't yet? And some people call it a bucket list. I like to call it your life plan.
Yeah.
And then how does career and your financial situation fit into that?
Yeah.
So once we've established that, and that's not for everybody, but once we've established that, then we get into the 3 phases of job search, which are what's your value proposition and how well you're communicating it. I would say at least a third of the resumes that I would see at a given job fair, I wouldn't send a high school kid out with.
Wow.
Believe it or
now,
not.
mind you, the value proposition for anyone listening in would be, what do you have to offer that company that you want to work for? What is it that's your skills and gifts that would benefit them? They want to know what's in it for them.
100%. And you back to what you were speaking about before, people have special abilities. Some people call them superpowers.
I like it.
My superpower is not accounting. Okay. And I don't ever want it to be. Yeah. But that's why I pay a tax accountant. That's why I've had other people working with me elbow to elbow in different corporations who are much better at that than I could be. Yeah. And I could do it, but it's just not where my sweet spot is. Exactly. So what's your value proposition and how is it being communicated, both resume, LinkedIn profile, and any other online stuff that you may have?
They use social media big time
all
today.
the time.
Yes.
All the time. And they not only use social media for LinkedIn, but they're going to check your Facebook, your Instagram, TikTok. So don't do anything stupid where you're holding a larger drink than you should be on a given Saturday night.
And silly.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
So there are all kinds of things that go along with this. So the value proposition has to be consistent. I'll call it a brand just because I spent a lot of my years.
It is a brand, your personal brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. I spent a lot of years doing that for products and services, and I try to do it for every individual that I'm working with.
Yeah.
It's what titles are you really seeking and why, and how can I believe in your professional experience that you can support what it is that you're saying you want to do for me.
Yeah. Exactly.
Without going into a lot of detail, the second phase of job search is outreach. LinkedIn is great for outreach because you can find people that work within the company, hiring managers particularly if you know enough about what's going on. Yeah. And you can also be in a situation where your outreach puts you in touch with people that you would never imagine would even make a difference. Yeah. And I'll give you an example. A guy I played basketball with back in New Jersey before coming down here to lovely spring, which, by the way, it is spring in spring. Yeah, I love it. And it's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day.
And it's also Masters Weekend, and I think all of you are masters of your career destinations.
That's right.
And should treat it as such. So anyway, friend Jeff, he came up to me one morning we're playing basketball, and he says, I got a call, got a new gig. I said, what happened? He said, well, a friend called me up about a month and a half ago and said, let's get together for a drink. It was around the holidays. Yeah. Now, Jeff had been commuting an hour and a half one way into New York City in the insurance business for 20 plus years. Wow. 2 small kids, but he was still doing it. And they talked about family and the old business they worked at and everything else. And finally, Jeff's friend said to him, hey, the real reason I called you here is because I had an interview at a company that was 15 minutes from where you live in Livingston. I turned the job down because I got a promotion during the interview process, but the first person I thought of is you. Would you be interested? Wow. And Jeff said, 20 minutes? You bet. Yeah. So 4 weeks later, he's in the vice president's chair at that company. Yeah. And that was somebody that wasn't even an employee of the company, but they trusted this guy enough to say, I'll talk to any one of your friends. Yeah. So that's maybe an exaggerated example. Go ahead. You were saying.
It's not really exaggerated. It's amazing that we've now become such a small world, especially during the pandemic and Zoom universe. You now can interconnect with people so much more easily online, and you don't even need a car. So, but you know what? Let's go and pivot to the mishaps that some applicants make when they try to go for that dream job.
Right.
There's certain things that applicants might do that is not in their best interest. What have you found?
And it happens typically in outreach. And what happens is they say, I'm going to go online and I'm going to look at the job boards. I'm going to see what I can do, and I'm going to apply for 100 jobs today.
Okay.
Click, 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 click. Later, they feel like they've done something constructive. But invariably, they're just sending their documents or their resume or their LinkedIn profile into the black hole.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So everything that I recommend is, okay, if the job is really a fit for you and it lines up with what you want to do, you're obligated to apply for it. But the real thing is you have to get in the side door. You have to find some way to get your resume, your credentials to the top of the pile. Because if it goes to a junior HR person or even a mid-level HR person, it's like swipe left, swipe left, swipe left. You're either there or you're not there. So you want to make sure that you're in the hiring manager's sphere of influence so that you can get what you need as far as your information in front of that person. Because those are the decision makers. HR has a definite function, but it's more to filter things than it is to promote things.
Exactly.
Unless they happen to know you, which is a rare thing anyway.
That's where I've gotten some of my best jobs, that knowing someone. Right.
And if they know you and they like you and they trust you, they're going to recommend you. Okay. But the decision makers are typically the hiring managers or whoever's in that hierarchy, whatever it is. So that's one thing. And typically, just to put it into context, somewhere between 20 and 30% of all jobs are found through traditional means. Depending on, meaning online, it used to be the New York Times classified, whatever it might be. There's also, depending on the category, 5 to 10% that are found by recruiters. Sometimes, like in IT, it's a lot more than that because they're staffing for temporary positions. Everything else is found through the networking capability of either the candidate, the hiring manager, the hiring company, or somebody close to either of those.
Wow.
So you're looking at 60 to 70% of all jobs, call it 2/3, are found through networking methods and outreach methods that people don't think are important. So that's a huge mishap.
Wow. So you say you love this company. There was a company many years ago I saw in New York. I just loved the energy, the culture. It matched me, but I didn't get picked up. I didn't show up on the radar. Now, what do you do as the applicant to get on the radar? Where's the first step?
Well, I have a client right now that I've been working with off and on for over 3 years. And she's on Long Island, and she has a background in quality control, quality assurance based on her biology degree in college. She wanted to get into a brand management role or a sales support role within that company, but it's a generic pharmaceutical company, so they really don't have a spot for her.
Okay.
What she really wants is to work for Estee Lauder as a junior brand manager. And I said to her, look, you're asking us to get from A to F without touching B, C, D, and E. And I said, look, this is going to be a long process. But we're going to start with getting your resume right. You're going to need some new credentials. You don't necessarily need an MBA, although that's very well, that really, really helps. You're definitely going to need some certifications in the beauty industry. You're going to need some certifications in terms of your marketing credentials and all this kind of stuff, because it's too big a leap to get from A to F. She's still doing it. She's at D right now. Okay. She has a new job in a company outside the one she's at, but it's still not what she wants in the city. So you kind of
But she's taking steps moving that direction.
Correct. But the real steps that she's taken is all the networking meetings, even the ones that were COVID on Zoom, she's on them. Nice. So people have gotten to know her. She's a wonderful young lady. She's mid-30s or so, and she's, I can't believe I didn't do this when I was younger. I said, look, the past is the past. So it's one of those things that as long as you keep taking the right steps in the right direction, you're going to get there.
I love that you mentioned this. There's a woman now who's a top marketer, and she, when she got started, knew nothing of marketing, but decided this is what I want to do. So what she started to do is what you're mentioning. She started to show up at all things marketing in her city. And everyone started to say, you're everywhere. Whenever there's a marketing gig going on, you're there. And then she started to learn more about the thing, get up there. Can I do a little talk or presentation? She started doing that. And people started to see her as the influencer, because now she's starting to do talks. She's at every event. Oh my God, there she is again. So she was everywhere. And within 5 years, she had her own business, a marketing company, where now she's blown up. Now she's a multimillionaire. She's been doing it 10 years. but it was that road where I think, and this is, tell me if I'm wrong, I think our culture kind of thinks that you see a vision and you're to get boom from A to Z, boom. And they don't realize there are steps to get progress to get there. You can't just show up to, I'm going to have the top marketing company and there's nothing I'm going to have to do from A to Z.
You can buy a lottery ticket and maybe win.
Maybe.
Okay. But what you're saying, the pathway can be, back and forth, zigzag, around about 2 steps forward, 3 sideways, 1 back before you get where you really want to go.
Yeah.
But if you're clear in your vision and you're doing things in the right way with the right intention and attention, you're going to get there.
Yeah.
So you're asking about mishaps, okay? And I'm going to say the other set of mishaps that I find are during the interviews. And this is phase 3 of job search.
Okay.
I have people answer 4 questions with me in 15 minutes. If they can't answer them in 15 minutes, then they're not going to get through a 30-minute interview. Yeah. Okay? And I start with 10 and I only give them 15. First question is, tell me about yourself.
Okay.
And tell me about yourself means nothing about you.
Yeah. Tell
me about yourself means, think about it for a second here over the camera here.
Okay. What does it mean?
It means, what can you do for me?
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with you. All right.
So basically, if you were to start like your top marketing consultant,
right,
and you were like, you really started said, my expertise is this, and here's how I'm going to transform your marketing department by X, Y, Z. Is that more or less, or not?
You
really?
could, if you know exactly what the problems are. So what I coach people to say is, use your own words with something like this. Tell me about yourself. There are a lot of aspects of my background that could be valuable for this position. Which ones would be most helpful to discuss to resolve the issues you're facing right now?
Or actually ask them, what are some of the issues that are
100%.
Yeah.
But I'm again, if you can go directly like that, well, what are the issues you're facing? But a lot of my background, whatever it is, put it back on them. It does 2 things.
Yeah.
Number 1, it says you're there to help and not there with your hands folded like this in the prayer position saying, I need a job, even though you might.
Yeah.
The second thing is it forces the interviewer to speak to exactly what it is that they have going on or not going on that they need you for.
Exactly. Why are you here today? Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Exactly.
So if you're in a situation where you get that information in the first 5 minutes of an interview, it's better than swimming like a shark around it for 30 minutes before you get to it at the end.
Yeah.
Because then you can go right to the jugular, and if you've done phase 1 properly and you've identified your accomplishments and how you've added value and what you did to make a difference, you can say, well, company A, I did this, which is exactly what you need, and et cetera. You can go like that. So that's tell me about yourself.
Okay.
Another one is, why are you leaving your current position? Because a lot of people will say, and again, you can put your foot in your mouth here, or you can answer it properly.
Yeah.
I'm leaving because I've expended all of my energy for the last 10 years and I'm getting nothing for it. Bad answer.
Very
okay.
bad.
I'm exaggerating here.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm seeking new opportunities because I've contributed as much as I possibly could to this organization at this point in my career, and it's time to find another blue ocean. Yeah. Like, that's why I'm here speaking with you.
Exactly.
Third thing is, why should we hire you?
Ooh, good question.
Okay.
It's one that people are like deer in headlights.
If you don't have, and you may never hear those exact words, but the only reason you're sitting either on a Zoom interview or across the table from somebody is to answer that question.
There's a billion applicants. Why you?
Exactly. Yeah. So you need to have 3 to 5 go-to elevator speech. You can list them off 3 to 5 words each that you could say to somebody in 10 seconds.
I love that. You don't want to go on for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Can't. Then you need to be able to adapt to what their situation is and say, well, these are my 3 to 5 go-tos, but I'm going to substitute these 2 with the 2 they need.
Yes.
So that's the why should I hire you? And here's another one that often doesn't, you'll hear it occasionally, but it often doesn't come up as much unless there's a extended length of time during the interview, which is, why do you want to work for us? If you've done your homework, you've read all the periodicals, the website articles, all the stuff that's on their website about all the good things the company's doing or things that you want to be involved in that you gravitate to. And I'm using an example. My son works for a company that builds 3D printed modular concrete homes. Yeah. And they want to save the world in terms of giving homeless people affordable housing, and they want to be able to do bigger housing in neighborhoods where it takes too long to build them because of the traditional ways and all that. He's on a mission to do that. Why do you want to work for us? Because you folks are out there, and I want to come along for the ride. I want to contribute to making the ride work, whatever it might be. So if you can answer those 4 questions, quickly, succinctly, and with a smile on your face, and you can look somebody in the eye and say, this is why you should hire me, and these are the things that I can do for you, you're going to get to the next phase of the interview.
You are. Yeah.
Because the only reason you're there is, can you do the job?
Yeah.
And will we like it that you've been here? And that may not always mean will we like you, because you may bring a perspective that's going to, clash. But if you clash in a way that gets a better outcome, they'll see past it.
Well, you know what? It's true. In some cases, some companies find culture very important, so they'll want you not to clash, but you'll have to have done your homework, like you mentioned. And what's interesting, I remember the people I work with now doing financial consulting, they had said to me a similar question, like, what do you got that we need that could help us? And I was basically like, you need help in this area. Right. And here's how I've done that in this other company. I've transformed their accounting department. Here's how I did it. And I saw them, smiling, open up really big. And I was like, yep, I'm getting to the next level there. Because,
and this is where you have to be, if you're rehearsed enough, it's like if you're driving and talking on the phone at the same time, you know how to drive. It's instinctual. You can concentrate on the phone call.
Exactly.
If you've done this well enough, rehearsed with others or yourself, looking in a mirror, literally, or videotape, video yourself like we're doing right now.
That's a great idea.
It's a great way to do it. You can see yourself. You go, oh.
Ooh, I'm slumping.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Then you can focus on what's across the table and read the signs. I mean, the other thing is, my daughter had an interview once. She's still the quickest client that I've ever had find a job.
Right.
She had an interview at 9 a.m, drove into town the night before, arrived about 7 o'clock. By 2:30, they'd given her the job. She said, Dad, I killed it at about 11 o'clock. I said, yeah, I've heard that before. That's great. And then she told me what had happened during the interview. There were 4 people there, a dog and a baby.
Whoa.
Okay, group interview, but she sized the situation up. She said, okay, this is how I have to interact with what's going on here. 45 minutes later, her friend that had set up the interview for her heard everybody laughing and everything. So everything was going well, but she had to adapt to the fact that there was a little dog barking and there was a 10-month-old baby in her boss's lap. You got to size the situation up, and you'll never know. You never know
until you get there. Exactly. You got to be able to move and groove with the thing. And you mentioned something else very important, doing your homework on the company you're going to meet. Right. And one company I went to interview for a long time ago, it was philanthropy was very important, working in the community. And some of their charities were very important to me. I'd actually given money to them. So when they had said to us, like, why do you want to be here? Right. I was like, this is what I love that you all do, that you serve the community, that you're in these particular charities that mean a lot to me, that actually have been charities I've given money to and worked with. And they were like, boom. I mean, that was another job I got. Both jobs I just mentioned I got, but because for one, I wanted to work with them because we were simpatico. We both had similar goals and visions. People will identify your passion very quickly. Yeah. Or lack of it. Okay, exactly. and so, I'd love to do this job. It's what I've been doing for the last 20 years, and I can really help you. You're not convincing anybody with that. No. Okay, so it's, and you can't go over the top. You can't go outside your personality range. Like, you're way more bubbly than I am, and if I try to do you, it wouldn't work. Yeah. But I can do, a more exaggerated version of me because, I really, really want to, this is something I know how to do, and I can really help you. Yeah. And, you don't want to plead, but you want to convince. Exactly. Okay. And then make sure that people understand that that's where you're coming from. They'll get your vibes. No, they will. But be authentic. That's the other key point. Be yourself, be authentic, but be enthusiastic your own special way. 100%. Yeah. Now, this has been an awesome talk. We could go on for hours. I know we could, but I don't want us to leave without everyone finding out how they can find out more about you, work with you. How can they do that? 2 things. You can check my LinkedIn profile out. It's linkedin.com/in/Bill Amirault, BILLAMIRAULT. I believe that may be spelled at the bottom. Yes. You can reach out to me by email, billamirault7@gmail.com. That's the number 7, not the word 7. And I don't know if I should get my phone on this or not. Is that usually? I'd leave it off. That's fine. That's fine. In case you get nuttered. Those are 2 places where you can reach me. And if you want to set up a Calendly meeting, it's calendly.com/Bill Amirault7, and there'll be a form you can fill out. First half hour is on me. Let's see if it's something that we can do to work together, that I can add value to what you're looking to do, or maybe we can work together in one way or another. And if not, we part as friends. If yes, then we can work forward from there. And build out your career. Well, Bill, thank you so much for coming to Savvy Broadcasting today and sharing your great wisdom. I really appreciate it. It's great seeing you, and thanks for having me. Okay.
like,
So that was
subscribe,
that.
and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.